world of Len, a great war between the continents of Ebros and Alkish is forcibly brought to an end by the Tempest, a cataclysmic storm that rages over the surrounding oceans. An uneasy peace has been forged, with relations growing colder each passing decade. A party of adventurers, calling themselves the HYDRA, are the only ones to notice the cracks in the ice. A race against time before the world is plunged into the freezing depths of total war. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link, in a debt to a friend. A homebrew campaign.
If this session recap goes to cock, I apologise in advance because it has been a short while. So, in session 30 of A Debt to a Friend, the party, the HYDRA, arrives in the port of Nelrius, and taking in the glitz and glamour, we know now that we are summoned by the Tranquility Warden by psionic communication, some sort of telepathic spell. As we are beginning to leave the port, however, not taking too long to indulge in the splendour and the tropical heat, golden armoured figures approach with dragon crests on their shoulders. One puts their arms up to say hail, although not hail HYDRA. Tak immediately recognises these as the Griffin Guard, the most elite fighting force of Bracca, and while they are ceremonial in appearance, they are far more than capable at dealing with the threats that attack the land. He responds with hail, putting a fist to his chest. Welcome home, Takavria. I trust the kingdom was kind to you. More than I could have thought. I'm Johan, and this is Loel. And we are of the ceremonial guard of the Tranquility Court. As they are to understand, you are on a most interesting quest. We are, but we shall not keep the Tranquility Warden waiting. You speak wisely. Come, let us away. And so Takavria leads the group as we approach a tree which is atop a circular platform. If you're ready, we shall set off. The tree doesn't do much, though we feel a magical force emanate towards us. Johan casts Tree Stride as we are drawn into a network of roots and life, older than we could have ever experienced, save for a place where many outsiders go, where not even Tak has been. The capital of Bracca, known as Kyrannor, which translates roughly to the Last Keep. It's the site of one of the last battles of the Great Rebellion, and we now stand in front of a tree in the front of the beauteous capital of the land. It's unlike anything the kingdom would, or perhaps could, create. Marble constructed as if it were silk, and working around nature. Well, it appears our guests have finally arrived, says Red Tiger, appearing to be the commander of Llewellyn and Johan. I don't know why he wants to see you, but the scribes have made it so. You are to be escorted by one of our newest of our order. He's enchanted by this place, but his sense of duty is unwavering. We won't have any funny business now, will we? A younger elf gestures us towards the keep. The Griffin Guard, known as Red Tiger, stops in the end of the bridge and calls over Cornelius. You there, priest! I wish to speak with you. What can I do for you, sir? That symbol you wear. I am unfamiliar with it. Could you tell me who it is? Cornelius' chest swells with pride and speaks a Malil, exarch of music festivities and good shindigs. A god of music. Sounds like something from the... I think the DM said Faerun. The Fey Worlds, the Fey Runs, I'm not quite sure, forgive me. Maybe you outsiders aren't so a dome of magic begins to form and crashes into our reality, protecting the palace. It cuts off the Red Tiger from the other side of the bridge, and he commands Helix Swift to take the Hydra to see what's going on. And Helix Swift replaces Cornelius here as he leads the Hydra into the Tranquility Warden. I now need to edit the outro. So that's gonna be good fun. I think that's the reason why I've been putting this off, because it means having to redo a little bit of video. Oh God, right? So the situation appears to be dire. The magical gates have closed around us, and eldritch energies course between them, causing an impermeable barrier. The illustrious craftsmanship for the palace is lit by magics that almost act as sunlight. We see 2 Griffin Guard ahead. You'll have to bear with me because my shit, I just closed down my screenshots. That ain't good. Hang on a second, gang. Session 30, please. Boop. As I was saying, 2 guards appear before us. 2 Griffin Guards appear and say, "Hail, Helix! Hail, comrades! I have orders from Red Tiger to see the court. Hail, Helix! Hail! Did you not hear me? Hail, Helix!" Helix approaches. He looks at them, but he doesn't recognize these particular guys, and especially when they have no eyes or mouths. It's a blank face staring behind the armor. Hail, Helix! Now this corridor would take us forward to the main courtroom, but unfortunately it's blocked off. So we look inside to the south and find some stone benches, braziers, and an elevated platform. Now normally Raj and Rahul would be on guard here, but I don't know who these 2 are. Helix throws caution to the wind and begins charging through the southern room to rescue the people here. And this is where we meet the Fabricator, who can supply gold. Who can provide supplies if we are provided with the raw gold required to make them. Which I think is a very clever way of getting around the idea of like someone who can just fabricate stuff. Yeah, you need raw gold to do it though. Security lockdown in effect. We can't get a map because of the due to what appears to be an invasion happening in the palace. And I'm reminded of Ark, right? Give your directions, I can sell your directions. And so I will say now, most of this session recap is just going to be talking about what happens in the individual rooms. The reason being because this place is labyrinthine. It's a mega dungeon. It took us 2 sessions to get through the entirety of it. And yeah, there's a lot to sort of do. And I don't really want to spend the video going, and then I went around this corner, and then I went around that one. That's not fun for anyone. So yeah, and yeah, but it's a good dungeon. It's very well designed, and there's some interesting encounters, and I'd rather get into those than just go through all the walk-in bits, so to speak. But before I do that, I will say that Helix does a Dukes of Hazzard slide over the counter to get to a door. He rolls acrobatics, natural 20+3 to slide, with the Fabricator saying, "Damn, son!" And he then catches 2 potions of superior healing as they're falling off onto the shelves, and he tosses them to the party. And we see Helix's red cloak flowing as he anxiously navigates the hallways, navigating the corridors. One thing that we notice consistently here is that there are no guards or servants patrolling here. Whatever's happening seems to be happening elsewhere, and there's no bodies either. So, as far as we can tell, everything is isolated in a single part of this place. And so we continue. We find one of the rooms called the Hall of Blades, a training facility for new and experienced Griffin Guard. So far the blades appear to be idle. And then we press on and find some more rooms. Let's just try and get some more stuff. So we find a room that is filled with water. And at the bottom we think we can see a grate. And we don't go in the water, which is probably the best idea we had these 2 sessions. Because what awaits us next is the thing that took so much time, and I'm rather glad that we didn't go with my original plan of saying, let's each take a corridor to go down. There is a room that forks into 4 corridors, and each corridor has 3 grates and a door at the end. And it's a good job we chose one corridor to go down, because as soon as you cross over the grate, a gelatinous cube senses life, sucks itself through the grates, and begins taking you to the end of the corridor. What awaits at the end of the corridor, you ask? Well, that's where a spike trap is. So these things are basically there to ferry you to the spikes and kill you, and do damage to itself, but gelatinous cubes do not have that great sense of survival. And yeah, we take a lot of damage from this fight, and it took a lot of resources to actually to win this one. And the thing is, it's about 3 gelatinous cubes. 3 cubes, 6 people. It took, well, 4 people, a bird, and a mechanical dog. But yeah, it took that much to beat it. Yeah, it was tough, and it's all in this one corridor. And the thing is that if you are moving in the direction of the spikes, if you're in front of the cube, you're getting sucked in. And it took a lot of strength to pull people out. My God. Like, I saw the D&D movie a couple of days ago. Brilliant movie, by the way. Yeah, it's like gelatinous cubes in that, they look a lot easier to deal with than in this. No. Some highlights. Helix manages to take 4d8 damage from a spike pit, and he takes all 8. Another thing as well is, like, you ever hear, like, you ever see those threads on Reddit or wherever where I say, what are the things you don't want to hear the DM to say? This is one of them. I'm gonna need a dice roller for this, because Roll20 cannot roll enough dice at one time to do the amount of damage that was required to kill people. And my God, like, it was amazing how people didn't actually die. I think Helix went down about 3 he went unconscious 3 times. I should just say as well a bit of an introduction to Helix Swift. Helix Swift is a blade singer wizard, I want to say. So blade singers in D&D, they have the wonderful ability to basically run around and like use a spell as an extra attack. They can increase their AC and dodge and things like that. They can do a lot of cool stuff. They get a lot of mobility. And they also get proficiency and performance. Yeah, so like they basically lose none of the perks of being a wizard. So, yeah, if ever you want like to play a wizard but you're not sure what school to go for, just say fuck it, I'll go for blade singing. What could possibly go wrong? And they're hard to hit as well. Like, I played one in a one-shot with for Helix because it was a bit of a I was going to do a session recap on it, but I didn't take enough notes, and to be honest, there wasn't that much to recap, but it was interesting to see what the Blade Singer could do. And bearing in mind, we played this a year ago, so we can't blame Cornelius Player for not remembering how the class works and using all the features. But it was a delight to see how the Blade Singer worked. And when they work incredibly well. Just not against slimes. So, and another highlight as well. before Helix dies, I managed to use my Aura of Vitality to heal him. And I guess like my healing word would be, my vocal component would be, I waited a year to see this character, don't die on me now! So, we eventually defeat the cubes and make it to the other side. Onwards is a room filled with gargoyles, and a demonic visage stands at the far end of the room, and it casts Cone of Cold in a nice, neat little line. We enter an altar room, with statues dedicated to the Grand Masters of the Griffin Order in the Chamber of History. And we also find a room with 2 statues which grapple Rakanar. We roll initiative, and I try to actually talk to the statues and say, look, there is an invasion, we're here to help, not hinder. Now the statues don't listen to me, but they do listen to Helix when he speaks in Elvish. They release him, and we find a healing fountain, I believe. We decide that we've just about explored most of this place. There is some rooms with lots of traps, like the Wand of Secrets came in really, really handy for this. It's definitely the kind of loot that we needed, because like otherwise we would have lost a lot of health to this. We would have died so much quicker than we did, coming around to that, if it weren't for that Wand of Secrets, because we managed to bypass a lot of threats, and also a lot of umming about, you know, should we go into this room, should we go into that one, and yeah, it was pretty good. So we continue on. We come across a room that has gargoyles, filled with gargoyles, and pulling both, and there's levers in their mouths. You pull the levers at the same time, opens the door. Pretty neat. But doing anything else, like reveals trap rooms and things like that, and and also trap chests. Yeah, the palace defenses are really good. Like if I had to go back to Ostergarth and they asked me for a mission report, I would just put 2 words: don't fucking bother. So we find our way through some illusions. There's a lot of illusory walls in this, which I love, and using investigation to find our way around. And we find a pool. And we find in one room a glistening pool. And as I look upon the pool, I fail my charisma save, even with advantage, because of the gnomish heritage thing that you get advantage on, like intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. As a gnome. Nice. Or at least there's a rock gnome anyway. I can't speak to those. So yeah, I fail my save, and instantly my soul is sucked from my body and joins the waters in the pool, as Rigsby simply falls to my side and nuzzles me for a reaction, but my prone body does not respond. Rakanar looks into the pool as well, and he falls before it. Only Helix manages to see the threads of his soul exit his body, and he draws them back by averting his gaze. And Takavir, just seeing all this happen, is like, you know what, I'm gonna stay right back here. Rakanar and I are now in front of a very large desk with some seats in front of us. And that image, oh my god, I'm so sorry for the image quality here. It's absolutely atrocious here. It's much better. It was much better on the tabletop. Behind us is a doorway with blinding light, with vines and roots and flowers. And in front of us, behind the desk, is a door with bone and obsidian and hellfire. But between those is Andy, the Astral Dreadnought. And he is wearing on his little tunic, little badge that says, "Andy, here to help you to the afterlife." And he says, "Oh, hello there. Are you ready to go to the afterlife?" And I turn to Ragnar to say, I don't think we are, to be honest. Oh, well, this never really happened before. Are you sure? I say, well, I'm afraid so. We've got things to do. Oh, could I interest you in a cookie? And he holds out in his massive pincer a tray. And he holds one of the cookies forth and shrinks it down to our size. And we munch on it and get the benefits of a short rest. And I compliment him on the recipe before exiting, saying thank you, but we have to make our leave. Now that was a bit of the wrong decision. What I should have done is ask, what the hell happened? But alas, I did not. Especially when we have a hard stop, and I have to respect another player's time because we've got to leave. So, as this is going on, H.Y.D.R.A stands stoically. He calls upon the power of the Raven Queen and says, "Return." And with that, the well spits our souls back out. And we're waking up. And that is now where session 31 begins. Helix finds memories flood into his mind. So, you familiarise yourself with the defences? Yes, Grandmaster. As you've seen, per the seers, these adventurers will bring a titanic shift in the affairs of the realm. What do you make of this? Such matters are not mine to ponder upon, Grandmaster. Such matters are for the Tranquility Warden, and for that is his domain, and I trust wholly in his judgment. And do you think Bracca should entertain these adventurers in the first place? I don't see why not. Very good, Helix. The memory fades, but something at the time didn't strike him. Strikes him now. Grandmaster H.Y.D.R.A casts a subtle spell on him, which is caused by the magical font of energy cast upon him. He had the spell Modify Memory cast upon him. And he's back in the room. Helix realises, as Ragnar and I wake, that this is the Font of Souls, a place where people can commune with the dead, but with the defences activated, even this can be made into a horrifying trap. We wake up, albeit with Nero pecking at Ragnar's head, and make our move. We consider the last places we could have gone to, and we find ourselves walking along a corridor, and in it is now a chamber with a pit, and across it is a bridge of webs. There is nothing that will stop a party in its tracks quite like seeing webs. Yeah. And it's it's funny because everyone's trying to think of a way to just do it. Like, the puzzle is you walk across it. You're gonna have to trigger the trap at some stage. You might as well go across. So Ragnar takes a running leap, and he struggles to identify if this is the making of a H.Y.D.R.A, like in the mines before. And also as well, his hands don't seem to get caught on the web, so it seems to be like a solid bridge, albeit it is considered difficult terrain. He runs across, and along with Helix Swift. And they both sense something, but it's Helix that is the first to notice a warp in the fabric of reality, as phase spiders blink into existence. Tak calls them boop spiders for the boop sound they make. I have some history with phase spiders, and if you've played Baldur's Gate, you have too. I hate these fucking things. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're strong here, they're pretty goddamn tough, to be honest. Like, I think they actually knocked us out a bit. Yeah, they had a fun time with us, but they are so annoying. Phase spiders, basically, what they do is they blink out of reality and reappear a few seconds later, and they can appear right in front of their prey. Now, as far as I don't actually know if they go to like the Shadow Realm or whatever, or Pagan or wherever else they're banished now. They appear in some other dimension and then they come back, and yeah, they'll just bite you and do that, and they're very good at evading you for that. And they're very hard to hit. Like, if you can't hit them in time in like a real-time game, you're fucked. So yeah, so these things, they're tough, and they will just wreck you. So we had to deal with phase spiders, and yeah, we even like I managed to die to them essentially. They yeah, I rolled too many like death saves. In fact, I think actually I messed up the death save system, because I think like if you get hit, you take one failure, and I said if you get hit, you take two, and that's why we died. And eventually, like, people are like dropping like flies to the phase spiders. We eventually get past them, kill whatever we can, but then we just eventually have to move and lock the door behind us. And eventually, we make it into a room with a sarcophagus, and there's a door with a demon head, and it launches a fireball at Reckonar, and Reckonar goes down. And just as Reckonar goes down, and this laughing demon's face is almost like laughing at our failure, what happens? The sarcophagus lid rumbles, and it slides open. And H.Y.D.R.A charges at the Mummy Lord, which emerges, missing his first two attacks. And just when he tries to launch harm at him, Tak responds with a counterspell and repels the pestilence. I don't know much about the harm spell, but I remember like I mean, this is a Mummy Lord. Because like I was doing a one-shot where I was looking for monsters for Larissa to face in a game, and mummies and mummy lords are pretty horrible monsters. I have one as a boss in like level 2 adventure, and even that might be a bit too tough. So we'll see. I'm relying on them to use fire. But yeah, I don't know if mummy lords like have that vulnerability to fire or not. But anyway, so we eventually all fall and die to the Mummy Lord. And just as H.Y.D.R.A sees the Mummy Lord hover over him, and his eyes are closing for the final time, H.Y.D.R.A opens his eyes, breathes, filling our lungs normally, and we look up to see a gigantic magical barrier. Hail, Helix! We're back at the entrance with the faceless guards. Hail, what news from outside? Now, Helix remembers everything. The traps, the positions, the corridors. This is one of the ultimate defenses of the palace. The time loop. The idea is that it drains and drains and drains you and your resources until you go mad. You can't die in this place. And this is one of the coolest things about this mega dungeon. Because like there's a lot of cool things about these two sessions, because like it's a mega dungeon and I like the design of mega dungeons. When they're done well, they're great. Labyrinths and all that sort of thing. And there's a lot of interesting traps and stuff. But what I love about this is I'm one of these people who's like, you know, dying is just part of the game. It's D&D. You know, that's the game. And yeah, dying doesn't have to be the only consequence in the game, but it is like the easiest one to do. And yeah, but in this instance where you can't die, it's actually like an interesting idea, like how, you know, like it doesn't remove the threat of the game. And how do you deal with that? A lot of people say, like, if you can't die, well, what's the point? And the video game Planescape Torment asks the question, well, if you can't die, what's the point? Because the whole point of that game is your character can't die, and they've got to figure out why. You know, why am I the only person in the Sigil who cannot die, even if I try or whatever? So, having a time loop, and this instance kind of made that the point that you're not meant to die, you're meant to go insane, and perhaps even join the inhabitants as part of the defences, having your own little corner, because again you can't but pass away. And so Helix approaches the guards again and says, "We're under attack! Hail, Helix! What news from outside?" We're still in the scenario of the attack. Tech Freya considers dispelling the magic on the barriers, but it's next to impermeable. There's just no way we can get through. So we consider our next move. Rakanar wisely holds up one of Volmakathar's boons, but it doesn't do anything. He hands it to Helix, and nothing happens beyond "Hail, Helix! What news from outside?" So from Helix's studies, he knows that only Bracken people give this boon of friendship to those who are lifelong friends. This time, we ready ourselves for the web bridge as the phase spiders make their return. And yeah, and this time we're ready for them. Like, we know what's going on now. This is Groundhog Day. They don't realise it, but we do. And they are almost surprised by the fact that, like, we're ready for them. We know where they're going to be, and we just destroy them. And I don't think anyone actually took any damage from that. We avoid the mummy lord, and the fireball room. And yeah, we continue on. We find a room that has a shrine dedicated to Mysera, I think. I thought it was Mystra at first, but that's not right, because that's an Mysera, I think, is an ancient elven goddess whose domain is protection from disease and illness. We make our way through the labyrinth. Most of the doors are trapped, which Tax Wand of Secrets reveals plenty of. Thank you, Lord. And we continue onwards. And I completely forgot to mention this room in my notes, but basically there's a room that's like a dining hall, and we notice the staircase is trapped. Now we have to get past the staircase leading up. There's a throne and two smaller stone chairs next to it, and a table in front of the staircase. So Tagavir very wisely has along with Helix, uses the table to make a bridge over the stairs. And we climb over and avoid, I'm not going to spoil anything, but a very, very difficult fight. I think if that fight happened, we would have needed the time loop again. Because I think it would be better to actually fight and lose and hopefully get the time loop again, than to use all our resources and go further on. We eventually make it to the sewers, where we face an Otyugh, and again succeed, and everything was going alright until Helix decided that he was going to challenge the DM's understanding of the law by saying that Otyugh meat is a popular delicacy amongst the lower classes, but Bracket is mostly classless. In fact, it's almost I think it is entirely classless system. Eats it, and he is now poisoned or sickened for 24 hours. Oh dear. So yeah, you find some unsettling statues dedicated to sort of water deities and such like that, but like much older, perhaps even than the Bracken gods. And so we navigate the sewers and find a successful way out, but unfortunately we have to get we're curious, aren't we? You know what curious does, doesn't it? Curiosities does, don't you? Reckoner opens the door to see a disturbing fishhead statue, which fills the room with a spray of acid. It kills Nero several times over, and as I've no diamonds to revive him, he's permanently dead. There's enough of him to be able to revive at a later point, but without gentle repose, he's basically going to be decaying in addition to melting from the acid. Tak, no longer playing now, no longer appreciative of Bracca's defences. He wants to know what's happening. He's going to cast Remove Curse on Helix, first of all by slapping him, and when that doesn't work, he casts a spell properly. The memory surges into Helix's mind. And what do you think of these adventurers, this HYDRA, coming to meet our Tranquility Warden? It concerns me, these conquerors. Meeting the Tranquility Warden, but I trust in his wisdom. Do you think that they should meet at all? I'm not sure. Perhaps, but what if they have come to conquer again? The Grandmaster puts his hands on Helix's shoulders. I appreciate your honesty, and your conviction, but I'm concerned this should not happen at all. I must ask a favour. Of course. I believe the Tranquility Warden is wrong. These people 300 years ago enslaved our people. To invite them here to extend an olive branch. Our isolation keeps us safe, Helix. I want you to prevent this meeting from occurring. Can you do that for me? Grandmaster, I love my nation, I love my people, I love my family, and I disagree with what's happening, but the Tranquility Warden is our governor. This is treason. Now surely you jest, Grandmaster. G.E.E.S.E looks at him and says, of course, Helix. I jest. And with that he casts a spell, and even though the truth comes to his mind, he realizes what happened next. Go. Gather guards. Set the defences. And I shall convince the Tranquility Warden of his wrongdoing. The safety of our people must come first. Some figures walk through the southern door. Ah, here they are now. As Volmak and a group of adventurers appear. We have much to discuss. As the southern door closes. We meet outside the palace and talk. Feeling more like himself now, Helix feels tranquil. He has a spell that comes to his mind, should he wish to use it. He looks down on the charred form on Nero, which Reckoner is desperately trying to place into the bag of holding. He tries to hold back tears while also resolve the tragedy which has occurred before him. He feels power surge through him, the power to restore life. Friend, I'm sorry that this happened to you. Let me make this right, and he casts Resurrection. He feels a burst of energy course through him, poison from eating some of the otiog. Yes, really. It's burst from his body. That's in my notes. And Nero, the eagle, breathes, sits up and looks at Reckoner. He squawks for a moment in panic. I thought I was done for! As Helix, the restored Griffin Guard, watches on. He stands and looks at the party. HYDRA, I'm glad you're here. There's treachery afoot. I think I know the way if you would have me lead you. And with that, we follow. And we're able to pass the barriers. We don't know the effects of the time loop and how it affects the Warden, but we do know that of the water processing plant, the grand chamber of the water elemental, and how we can placate it, and why we'd want to go to the south. The chamber of rest awaits. The Grand Master of the Griffin Guard has turned traitor. He called upon the Griffin Guard to the courtyard, and our defences have been activated to drive us insane with time loops. We can rest in the chamber to the southeast if you so choose. And so we do. Reckoner embraces Helix for reviving Nero, and Helix tells Tak, in Draconic, how much he respects him. In this chamber where time seems to pass so quickly, and as do the binding of our wounds, we continue on. We throw open the doors to the Tranquility Warden's chamber, and we see ourselves. Except in Helixstad stands Cornelius, and in front of the Hydra is Professor Volmac speaking to the Tranquility Warden. They see the true Hydra stand behind them, and only assert their point of view. "Aye, yes, these are the dark forces I've warned you about. There's only one way we can truly deal with them. The Hollow King. Now where is it, Tranquility Warden? Where is the Hollow King?" "Now hold on," says the Warden. "I won't hurry myself into..." As Volmac holds his hand up to the Warden's face, pushing him into the seat, doing something to him. But once the Grandmaster appears terrified, a veteran of 100 battles and several wars, and he's cowed by an old man. "You shall join us, or you shall die. Do not hesitate, Grandmaster," says Volmac. The Griffin Guard, suspended from the ceiling, watched down in horror. "You ants, scurrying around looking for salvation for your short, inconsequential lives. You disgust me, all of ye," as Volmac drops to all fours, as do the false Hydra, H.Y.D.R.A. Now, the DM did write the name in the chat, and I didn't look, did I? I've had, 2 whole weeks to do this. I'm sorry. H.Y.D.R.A. the Green emerges, a gigantic green dragon, along with his draconic H.Y.D.R.A. And that is where session 31 ends. And session 32 is right around the corner, and I can't wait. And I've just noticed I've had my shirt open all this time. I apologise, that's not very attractive, is it? My god. So yeah, it was a really, really good time. Fantastic dungeon, and the time loop thing as well was amazing. And yeah, if ever you want to see like how, I think in a way it's like a masterclass in like dungeon design. The traps were interesting. The way of overcoming them was perfectly valid. The the choice of just simply not going somewhere was good. And yeah, some interesting things that I don't think you might normally ordinarily see. Some good stuff for rogues there as well, like for disarming stuff and like picking locks and whatnot. Yeah, there's some good stuff. It'd be interesting to see how the other groups in A Debt to a Friend, because there's like 2 other groups doing this. Interesting to see how they fare with this dungeon. But yeah, the time loop, that was brilliant. And of course the big reveal, just when we thought Volmac was with us here, and perhaps, who knows, maybe we're the imposters. No, obviously they're wrong, but I was genuinely thinking, like, is Volmac really here? And like, he thinks that, they're us? That's cool. So we're going to see how that goes this coming Sunday. So thank you ever so much for watching. Take care. Ta for now. Yeah, I apologise that I rushed through this with some really cool stuff, but I didn't take all that many notes. And yes, a lot of it was labyrinthine. It was just walking through, and yeah, that's one of the, I guess, sort of inherent problems of a dungeon crawl is, well, it's a crawl, So yeah, and yeah, welcome to OSR dungeons, I guess. So yeah, but no, it was a really good dungeon. I don't know if the DM made it themselves. If they did, it's awesome. If not, I must know the author, so I can credit them, because they did a fantastic job there. So yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. Take care, and I can't wait for the next session. So yeah, yeah. So we're not all dead. So that means, unfortunately, this is going to continue being a D&D channel and not a Vampire the Masquerade channel. Ooh. So, so yeah. So thanks for watching. Take care, and yeah, looking forward to session 32. Ta for now.